And art is only a way of removing an obstruction between me and my inner consciousness. It removes the curtain. That removing is called Abhivyanjana, Abhivyanjanavad. That is of Abhinav Gupta, that you just remove the curtain, the obstruction, and you give the Nirvighna Pratiti, because it is only that one supreme consciousness which is already joyful, which already has a Rasa. Rasa is not created on the stage, it is always there in me. The activity of the actor has only removed the curtain before my charma chakshu, before my eyes, and I am seeing the joy in myself. This is another position. So, as you can see, the question of rasa is a philosophic question. And in India, it has been very deeply debated upon for a long, long time, for several centuries. As a matter of fact, more than centuries, almost for more than 2,000 years, we have debated as to what is so pleasurable. We have always considered art as a great mystery and art as a stepping stone to something higher. Now, the Natya Shastra is not talking about the paramarthic value of art. That does not mean that art is not considered to be a channel to the divine, but at least the Natya Shastra does not talk about that. There are other Indian texts which do, like Yagyavalkya Smriti, which says that art takes you towards moksha. Moksha margam niyachati. This is what Yagyavalkya Smriti says. Veena vadana tattvagyo jati shruti visharadaha talajyo cha aprayasena moksha margam niyachati. You go towards the moksha marga. Some people say you reach the moksha marga or you reach moksha. They interpret this in a different manner. If you know the tattva of veena playing, if you know the structures of ragas, in ancient times it was called jatis, and if you know the fine quality of swaras called shruti, jati, shruti, visharada. So if you are a visharad in jati and shruti, raga, swara, tal and the fine microtones, and if you know the tala, then you go towards moksha marga. But these texts are different texts. These are the texts which give us the statement that art is something that takes us towards divinity. Not away from divinity, but towards divinity. This is, however, Natya Shastra does not explicitly state so. Although Natya Shastra says that Natya is for Shubha, Natya is Punya, Natya is Kalyanakari. It uses all these terms as we saw, as we read them yesterday when in the Natyotpatti chapter. But it is not a text that explicitly asks you to go towards moksha. Unlike the medieval period when arts got severely involved in the enterprise of taking you towards God. You see, they became bhakti pradhana. Naham vasami vaikunthe yoginam hridayena cha mad bhakta yatra gayanti tatra vasami narada. Vishnu is telling that wherever my bhaktas are singing my gunas, I live there. So I am neither with the yogis nor I am in Vaikuntha. So this is the period, this is the time when the works of art, when the manuals of art, they all were serving the higher purpose of moksha. But Natyashas belongs to an era where we are more concerned with the practical production of theater and other arts, which are primarily Laukic, but which are at the same time giver of great value and worth. All right? Now to some of your questions.
Does Bharata Muni mention anywhere that one particular bhava will communicate that specific rasa? It can happen that if I'm seeing romance, anything erotic, I might feel sad. I might not feel Shringara. Does he mention or talk about it anywhere?
What you mean to say is that does the text of Natya Shastra talk about personal variegated reactions to what is seen on the stage? Well, if you recall, we did part of that yesterday, because the Natya says that people of different kinds of tastes or ruchi, bhinna ruchi, they find Natya interesting. So somebody who is interested in moksha or interested in ascetic pursuits may find something for him or her there. Right? Somebody who wants to think of himself as a warrior may get inspired by certain scenes. Now that much of personal reactions of different kinds of people are mentioned. So let us take the example that you say that when you see a romantic scene, then you are seized with a mood. What is this? This is all childly affair. What is there in this world? Why fall in love with people? Duniya mein kya rakha hai? You may get that vairagya by seeing Shringara. Huh? Yes, it may. Because in your personal reaction, unless that erotic shringar is communicated through vibhava, then your personal reaction may be, what is there in shringar? What is there in shringar? It's useless. And hence, you as a person may then come back and home and say, Mummy, I am going to become a nun. I am renouncing the world. Now, but this is your personal reaction. In theater, that person is going to communicate within that story, Shringara.
He mentions that whoever wants to add can add. So he is so liberal. So does he give space to this also, that somebody can feel whatever?
Certainly. Yes. Because those who are lovers of war or lovers of heroic feelings, they look for that in theater. Kalidas also has a verse which I don't recall right now, where he says that people of bhinna ruchis, people of very, very different tastes, they all have one object of love, ekam samaradhanam, which is natyam. That theater, natya, is that one thing which is able to attract people of all kinds and have something for them. So what you are saying is just right. There is room for all kinds of personal responses. Good question. It was a very good question.
Now that we are not discussing all the shlokas in Natya Shastra and we have to also do some personal reading, do you suggest any particular version of Natya Shastra or some translation that we can buy for our personal study?
All right. what you want to know is which edition of Natya Shastra in translation should you get. All right. There is a very old translation by Manmohan Ghosh, which I am sure is in your library. And now that is considered to be rather inadequate. I think there is one version in English by, I forget the initials, but it is Rao. And that is very good. Honestly, I have not studied the merits of different traditions, different translations. But I can let you know. You can give me your email and I will write to you all this information. But reading the Natya Shastra text all by itself will be a very big task and it will be confusing. So you begin upon a book which gives you a total picture of the Natya Shastra, and what book can there be better than mine? There are other books also. You can read some of them so that you get a picture of the principles of Natya Shastra. There are several authors who have written. There are, in fact, books in various Indian languages because scholars all over the country have worked on this text. They have paid a lot of attention. It is still one of the Shastras which people find very useful. You know, nobody finds Manusmriti very useful except for castigating it politically, like Mayawati does and many Ambedkarites do all the time. Because we have now a constitution which in many ways is very different from the ancient constitution. However, Natya Shastra is one of those Shastras because we have a tradition of living performing arts which connect to the very ancient times. Yeah.
Sir, as you were asking a question that when there is a Radhi Bhava, do you experience Shringara Rasa? Means, does it gives you happiness? Something like that. For that, I was getting an answer that mixture of all rasa, experiencing while watching a play, gives me ananda, which we experience in moksha. So, of course, Indian theatre arts is like a sahodara, the experience, the Brahmananda sahodara, which is similar or like that of we experience in moksha. If at all Abhinavagupta Bharatamuni says it is not towards the moksha marga, but it helps us to experience what we experience in moksha.
Yes, he has pointed out something very relevant. But I didn't talk about it today because I am going to talk about this exactly tomorrow. The whole concept that rasa is Brahmananda Sahodar as it is said by Bhattanayak, one of the major four commentators on whom I shall expound tomorrow. He mentions it very clearly and he brings in this doctrine. So, while you are contemplating on the idea of Brahmananda Sahodara and that ras is a vilakshana and that ras is something not seen elsewhere, be careful to also understand that rasa is only sahodara, that it is not Brahmananda. Right? It is like this, that if I want to know and understand the psychology of the elder brother,